Greetings and welcome to a Prayerful Pause. I'm Nancy Woodworth-Hill and amongst other things, a spiritual director. Today we will look at the use of the labyrinth, which is an ancient spiritual tool. So to begin, I have a couple of them here. This one is called a finger labyrinth. It's a piece of wood in the board. It has paths. It may look like a maze, but it's not a maze. A key critical difference is the labyrinth has no dead ends. So one can't get lost in it. So you just keep going. It's a path from the edge into the center. This is a Chartres labyrinth, named after the Chartres Cathedral in France, where it was put into the floor in the year 1201, and it's still there. This is a Cretan labyrinth, much the same style as this, except a different pattern. This goes back to the island of Crete over 3,000 years ago. This, on a piece of paper, is what I would call a finger labyrinth. You can use your finger to trace on here. Things like this, if you just Google finger labyrinth, you'll find patterns that you can print out. So the question then comes, why walk a labyrinth? Why use one? It supports mind, body, spirit integration. It invites the quieting of the mind with a focus on the present moment, providing space for self-discovery. You use one to pray, to be mindful, for spiritual growth, for clarity, to grieve, to celebrate, to explore, to connect, to be at peace, to calm anxiety, to have a nice walk, or just to be surprised at what comes. A couple of fun facts. I mentioned the labyrinths are found in many human cultures, and some are well over 3,000 years old. There are some carved on rock which are undateable. And I mentioned, and I'll say again, they're distinct from mazes because they have only one path. There are no dead ends. There are many sizes and styles of labyrinths. They can be walked on, and you're talking maybe 30, 40 feet. Also smaller in width. You can use with a finger. I have my finger labyrinth here on a regular sized piece of paper. And they come smaller. You can use a stylus to use to work your way through the labyrinth. So like life, each journey through the labyrinth is unique, and there's no right or wrong way to use it. When you pray on an indoor labyrinth, it's often advisable to put all your belongings down so you walk unrestricted. Same thing with an outdoor labyrinth. You can find and move at your own pace. You can walk around someone going slower than you, or let them walk around you. It's important to remember that on a large labyrinth, it's a two-way street, so you're moving towards or away from the center. And should you meet someone and unsure of what to do, just stand still. And you may choose to walk to be open to the moment or have an intention, and I'll mention a few of those later. Feelings. Be aware that feelings may surface. The key is to accept them in the moment. Don't try to understand them or work with them then. The key is just to accept them, to feel with them, to be with them. And then afterwards, to do the reflective work, perhaps with a journal or some other method that's familiar to you. And pay attention to the symbols and metaphors and images that may arise, because these are the language of the soul. You can get curious about them and reflect later. Just attend to them in the moment. You can listen for the still small voice of the divine. You may use a mantra or not, and you may let your body be expressive. There's been times where I've skipped and run joyously through them. I've seen others dance, bend, twirl, move, or just plain walk. If you're beginning this practice, a few things to be aware of is you don't need to impose an agenda. I will go in and this will happen. One needs to be open to the wisdom of the labyrinth. You need to realize that each time you will do it, the experience is different. I've had from just a nice walk to profound things that I've heard that have changed me. The least helpful question to bring is a yes/no question. It needs to be open-ended. It may be helpful to prepare for a walk with some reflection. And one typical pattern is threefold pattern: to release on your way in, to receive in the center, and to return renewed on the way out. There are a great many ways to approach a labyrinth. The best suggestion that I've found is to bring your body to stillness. And I do that by just standing or keeping my finger right here. Take that breath, whatever practice to bring yourself to that stillness, that quiet within. You could ask yourself what might be helpful. So here's a handful of suggestions. A gratitude walk. Walk with gratitude to acknowledge blessings. Help me walk. Walking when you're in need of guidance, assistance with a project or a task, clarity about feelings of frustration or just plain feelings. Invite and allow the wisdom of the labyrinth to arise. A slow down walk. A meditative walk to purposefully slow down when one's too busy and needs space for one's soul to catch up. Invite and allow the labyrinth to quieten your pace. Balancing walk. For those times when you need to obtain some measure of balance, especially after stressful times or a time of refocusing, invite and allow the labyrinth to offer that balance. A letting go walk. For times when you need to lighten up, to let go of a perceived burden, grief, or sadness, to invite and allow the labyrinth to provide support. Or a remembrance walk. Our body remembers the death dates of loved ones, and there may be a time when you'd like to celebrate their life or the life of someone you are missing by having a walk to remember them, to hold them up, and to purposefully call forth memories of that person. And you can invite and allow the labyrinth to enfold you with that other person. A peace walk. Walk with the intention of finding peace within yourself so that you can spread this peace into the lives of those around us. Invite and allow the deep peace of the labyrinth to radiate. A mindful walk. Walk to be attentive to the moment, to be mindful, perhaps focusing on your breath or each step that you take. Invite and allow the wisdom of the labyrinth to ground you. You could also pray a question. So ask an open-ended question as you start the walk. Share this question with the divine. Be open to whatever comes, even if the question changes during the walk. Invite and allow the wisdom of the labyrinth into the question. A breath prayer walk. So there's one of these videos on creating your own breath prayer, but you can walk with a word, a mantra, a meaningful phrase on your lips. And you invite and allow the labyrinth to enfold this prayer into your body, your heart, your mind, your soul. Or just listen, walk. Listen to your breathing, the sound of your footsteps, the sounds outside and inside of you. Invite and allow the labyrinth to help you listen deeply. There are many, many other ways to engage a labyrinth. Use your imagination. When I work with children in a labyrinth, I give them one rule, that they don't need to bump into anyone. I let them go at their pace, which may be running, but their rule is to watch out for anyone else on the labyrinth. If you're interested in finding a labyrinth in your location, there is a website to find labyrinths and information on them. You Google Worldwide Labyrinth Locator. That's Worldwide Labyrinth Locator. And I believe it's labyrinthlocator.com. And you can type in the country, the state, how many mile radius from you. It will tell you where the labyrinth is located, how accessible it is, what it's made of, lots and lots of information. So as you go into the world, there are ways through this ancient tool to engage with your spirit and with wisdom, to come into a space to just be. If this video has been helpful to you, please consider sharing it. Go in peace.